Inoue versus Akhmadaliev, Sunday, September 14th. The real fight of the weekend. My thoughts on it: Akhmadaliev, he likes to say a lot of these things about Uzbekistan power, right? And it's a lot of things that I don't know if that's like a country motto or something like that, right? Where a lot of these guys from Uzbekistan will say that Uzbeki power. They'll always say that, and it's always like you've heard it before, but where have I heard it, right? And so you look it up, or you don't look it up. Maybe the algorithm just pushes it towards you. And Akhmadaliev is from the same country as the guy that just fought Crawford. What's his name? So the guy that fought Crawford in his last one, something like Madrimov. Yeah, Madrimov. Fights almost exactly like Akhmadaliev, where they like to stand in one spot and they like to box from there, but they always move backwards. They're terrible at moving forwards, right? They really can't fight going forwards. If they do go fight forwards, it's more like a one punch and get out type of situation, right? And so when you're looking at the way Inoue fights versus the way Akhmadaliev fights, because Akhmadaliev, when you're talking about physicality, has all of it to become, what would you call it, an all-around great fighter just based on physical talents, right? But when you're looking at the boxing tendencies and skills, it's more so a back foot fighter, right? Not so like a Marquez, where Marquez had right hand power, right? Juan Manuel Marquez had that one hitter quitter where Akhmadaliev doesn't, right? He's got thunderous punching power, but a lot of it is questionable, because when you're looking at when he fought Ronnie Rios decided he wanted to push the pace as the champion when he really kind of didn't have to push it that much, right? But you're looking at tendencies, fighter, what would you call it? The willingness to impress and to give the audience something to cheer for by going forward, right? Ronnie Rios kind of gassed out mentally, got hit by a series of low blows, in my opinion, low blows by, I'm going to say opinions, because there's going to be people that would try to counter those statements, but they were low blows against Ronnie Rios. Ronnie Rios goes down, it gets called the TKO, but when you're looking at Akhmadaliev fight someone like, who was that guy? He was the unified champion, Daniel something, right? Daniel Roman. Daniel Roman, in my opinion, did really good against Akhmadaliev, fighting toe-to-toe, making Akhmadaliev go forward and hitting him with three-punch combinations and all of that stuff, right, to the point where that fight, I didn't really watch the whole thing, right? So I think I did. I don't remember, right? That fight was something that maybe could have been a draw. I don't know. I didn't score it. I don't remember it, but I do remember seeing it, right? So when you're talking about Inoue versus Akhmadaliev and these guys who fight backwards don't really care about impressing the crowd, right? And so you can say that if you were to fight just toe to toe and nothing were to ever happen, that the guy who just never decided to go forward basically lost by default, right? And for Inoue to fight Akhmadaliev, this can certainly happen. Now, Inoue he basically has to impress his viewers, in which Akhmadaliev has none. And so it's gonna be a little dangerous for him to have to fight going forward against a guy who only fights going backwards, basically, right? And so you're looking at a fight comparison. It would be, in my opinion, something like the guy Crawford just fought, Madrimov. I don't remember what his first name is, Ulysses or something like that. He fights Madrimov, Muhammad, right? Muhammad Madrimov fights fucking Virgil Ortiz, and Virgil Ortiz goes in there and just whoops Madrimov's ass, right? After the first 4 rounds or something like that, in which I'm going to compare this fight, Inoue Akhmadaliev, to Virgil Ortiz versus, Muhammad Madrimov, or Ali, or something like that, whatever his name is, to that fight, except that this fight, I mean, Inoue has more punching power, pound for pound, than Virgil Ortiz, right? Whereas if you were to talk about pound for pound, Akhmadaliev and Madrimov are about the same, where they hit hard, but they don't do enough to really accumulate damage to really just finish him off, is what I'm saying right now. You can say that Madrimov finished a lot of Russian guys, but a lot of Russian guys don't fight for, what would you say? They don't fight for glory. They fight for money as just a side job, right? And so you can call those guys like basically jobbers. They're not gonna, they don't dream of fighting at the championship level because they don't have the backing to do so. And so as soon as you get a bruise or on the verge of possibly getting hurt, they end up quitting, right? And so you're looking at a lot of these, when you're talking about records built up on Russians, a lot of jobbers. And I don't know what Akhmadaliev's record looks like, but he's built a career, if you're talking about sparring and all that stuff, against those guys, right? And so Inoue Akhmadaliev, I think anybody, most 95% would favor Inoue because he's way more proven than Akhmadaliev, and he's got the power, he's got everything also. He's got everything when you're talking about physicality to the same level of Akhmadaliev, to the same or even greater degrees. Yeah, so when you're talking about physicality, you can say, yeah, this guy's a quote unit, Akhmadaliev, versus Inoue, but Inoue is just as much as a physical powerhouse as Akhmadaliev, if we're talking about in their own, what would you call it, genetic potential, right? Where Inoue's stamina is maxed out, where the other guy's power is maxed out, but the Inoue's power is at the same level as the other guy's power when you're talking about quote genetic potential or whatever it is, right? As much as you can push it to, what would you call it, non-chemical stuff, maybe chemical too, right? Whatever it is. I'm just getting into a whole stupid thing. Fuck it, right? I'm picking Inoue over Akhmadaliev, and I'm gonna compare it to Virgil Ortiz versus Muhammad, fuck the dude's name, right? Akhmadaliev. We'll just give him the same 2 last names. The guy that Crawford beat, that nobody fucking gives a shit about anymore. It's going to be kind of similar to that, in my opinion. I think if Inoue gets hurt, he's not going to show it. And if he does, it'll, like, he got his eye busted in one of his fights, and he didn't quit, right? So I'm going to just end it on that. I could keep going for another 30 minutes and just try to just speed out the words without using AI to cut out the stuff, but I'm not going to. So thanks for listening.